Hello, Chester here. So we finally made it to Platinum on this account, and this video is going to focus on Stompy decks. This is basically the Golgari Stompy deck matchup and the Red Stompy matchup. And I'll be posting other similar videos for other archetypes like Affinity. Maybe we could go into the Tempo Mirror, and maybe we can also focus on Burn because that has been common for bronze to plat. We are still running the same list. I did have the option to create one more rare, so maybe we can upgrade by cutting this mountain, adding one fetch. But in the meantime, we're going to stick with this list. So playing against Stompy, you do have a lot of options, but mostly you want to be aggressive against them because they are ancient tomb decks. Their mana base hurts, and they are reliant on one ring. So one angle you can take is you can pressure them with Delver of Secrets, Dragon Stage Channeler, and have your bolts as extra reach if they go too low. Force Spike is also pretty okay with them if you're on the play because they do maximize their mana a lot. And our sideboard cards for the Stompy decks usually is in the form of removal unholy heats, cast into the fire. This is pretty important against Golgari since they have access to Bowmasters. This also deals with the One Ring. And on the draw, you can't really expect your counters to be live. This is mostly going to get grief, so you have to be reliant on dealing with One Ring with this card. And on the play, you can choose to add Spell Pierce in these matchups. For Mono Red Stompy, I like Spell Pierce. For Golgari, I don't. I prefer Force Spike since Barrogoyf is a important card to look out for. And mostly you want just removal spells for those. Unholy Heat can be activated early with Mishra's Bauble and Dragon's Rage Channeler. So let's try to play some games. Here going first, we have Force Spike Delver and a land and a bunch of Thunders. This is keepable. I think about playing Delver here, but then I don't because our opponent mulled pretty hard. They're on 5, and I suspect they might be on some kind of combo deck. But it looks like they are just playing Grief Scam here. I'm going to force spike this Grief just so that they don't have any pressure on the board this turn. It brings me down a card, but they also mulled to 5 already, and they are pitching a black card for Grief anyway. Salty is a bit late, but now we just want to find our land drop here and then play out Delver. Since we hit non-fetches here, we can put Ponder on top so that the Delver flips. And this is guaranteed to live because we can always pitch Salty. I don't have the removal spell anytime soon, so it's just better to play the Salty here. Because I don't have the answer to that Dragavan. Since we have flipped the Delver, there are only two things to do here. It's either add more pressure or work towards into Treasure Cruise. And since we found Darcy, we can just play Darcy and have 6 power in the air. Now this looks like a Bowmaster's turn, so we just hold on to the Ponder. We're going to fetch at the end step because I don't want the fourth land. Strip mine is okay, just in case they are a ring deck. We can cut them off a mana. Against red black scam, we just want to take out the 4 spikes on the draw and replace them with better cards such as removal spells or more efficient counter magic. In this case, I want my unholy heats. And since we're on the draw, we are going to be on the back foot. We can't really have time to deploy our delvers early on. We're going to focus on trying to deal with what they're doing. But we can't really cut all of our threats because we are still an aggressive deck. The 4 spikes or the conditional counter spells will eventually be bad if you don't pressure them. You always want hands like this where you have turn 1 hydroponics architect. The card is just busted. And we also have strip mine here. Now, since we're on the draw, we are on the back foot. They have Ragavan. We don't have the removal spell, so we might be in trouble here if they have the removal for it. They did have the removal. They managed to steal a Delver. And now they are playing a strip mine. So now we are on the back foot. So now we have to think about trying to ponder here or just deploying another hydroponics architect. But for now, I think it's just better to deploy the architect. It can block Ragavan, and then next turn we can ponder into a lightning bolt. They do draw not dead after all, which means even if you block this, the Ragavan will still be a problem later on. Opponent seems to have some graveyard hate in the form of Ghost Vacuum, but that shouldn't be a problem for Darcy because it only eats 1 card per turn, so it should be relatively easy to still get Delirium. We found our boat. Now we just want to arrange this in a way where we want to get the card on top because we are going to bolt the Ragavan here. There's a Blood Moon, which is unexpected, but we have our island, which means we're probably okay here. We can bounce our own Delver back to our hand and then play Darcy. And now I don't want to take more damage since I'm at 8. I would normally take this if I was at a higher life total. Now we have Delver back into our hand. Agus of the Moon is redundant. They already have Blood Moon, so I don't really care about that. And now we're just going to focus on trying to get them dead or trying to flip our Delvers. Hopefully we find removal spells. We get to flip our Delver here. And the mistake I do here is I pass the past priority. Now they get to eat something with the Ghost Vacuum and I can't cast Treasure Cruise anymore. I'm going to leave back the Dragon's Rage Channeler here just in case they can dash Ragavan. We could also just block this since there's no way we're getting Delirium now. They are near cracking that Ghost Vacuum, so that is a concern. Now we can just cast Treasure Cruise. Hopefully we draw into some more action. Preferably just 2 bolts. We just need 2 bolts here. Surprisingly, our opponent didn't crack the Ghost Vacuum. I feel like they thought that the Ghost Vacuum was can be activated at instant speed. Maybe that's what's happening here. They just missed their timing window for the Ghost Vacuum, and now they're dead to Bolt. I think that hovering there is them reading that or them trying to activate the Ghost Vacuum. Opponent is going first. We have double strip mine, no colors. That's not keepable. This one is better. We have double strip mine here. And I'm tempted to keep double strip mine. So I'm probably going to bottom either Delver or Dragon Stage Channeler here. And since they led on Ancient Tool, we can just strip mine them. Having strip mine in your opponent is pretty great because if your opponent doesn't have a turn 1 play, you can essentially just reset the board. Now I'm just going to try and deploy Darcy here. Looks like they have removal for it. This tells me that they don't have Bowmasters. A Bargoyf in game 1 is really hard to beat, but we do have Sink into Stupor in our hand, so we might be able to bounce it at some point. But it's going to get some value. I don't want the cards here, so we're going to shuffle. We get Force Spike, which is not what we needed. They play another Baroglyph, so we can't really deal with two of them. Postboard, we have some ways to deal with Baroglyphs. We can add the Unholy Heats. It's relatively easy to get Delirium now, ever since we got Ponder. And now we have to decide what to cut. I sometimes trim the cantrips, and we're going to be on the play, so I kind of want to keep the first spikes. So it's a really hard decision what to cut here. And this is something that I am still experimenting on. Cast into the Fire is great for Ring. It's also great for Bowmasters. I've decided just to trim around the edges just to make room for a couple of Force Spike because we are on the play and Force Spike is pretty strong on the play. I've got Subtlety since we have less cards on the play. This is a great hand on the play. We have turn 1 Hydroponics Architect. We also have Subtlety as backup. We're probably going to pitch Delver if we decide to use Subtlety. Since we have a Strip Mine incoming for next turn, it's a good idea to just Subtlety that right Shaman so that they are choked on mana. So now they have to stabilize on mana and try to deal with the Hydroponics Architect. Each turn cycle that the Architect gets to attack, we just get one more card. Seems like our opponent is color screwed here. And we get the Force Spike and the land. So since we're ahead on board, we can just wait to Force Spike here. And them not hitting the land drop is great for us. Which means this game is probably over. We can deploy Delver here because we have Unholy Heat. And Hydroponics Architect finding a strip mine here is just lights out for them. Now we are on the draw for this one, so I'm going to be more reactive here. I'm going to cut Delver of Secrets because I won't be dropping creatures early on unless it's Hydroponics Architect. This looks like a great hand. It would be better if we had a blue card here so that our salty is live, but We have our boots, we have stable mana, and we have strip mine. Now here's a good trick for this one. They're trying to hold up bowmasters here. Now we can force the bowmasters out by playing strip mine. So now our Darcy can safely come out next turn. It's also good to pay attention to how they play their land drops or what land drops they play. They just surveilled an ancient tomb, which means they probably are looking for action. So we're not going to try and choke them on mana. It's a good thing that we kept a land heavy hand here. They have double strip mine. Now we can deploy Hydroponics Architect just to block the Orcish Bowmasters. We're still not going to deploy Dragon's Rage Channeler until it's ready to attack or to become a 3-3. He just had the triple strip mine. But luckily, this deck can operate on very low land counts. We are now going to start pressuring their life total by deploying the Dragon's Rage Channeler. We find the bolt. Now, if you paid attention to that turn, they didn't hit their land drop. So now we can possibly force out a Bowmasters here. This is pretty bad sequencing on my part. I should have resolved the bubble trigger first to see what's on top of their library. We see Bowmasters. I know they're hurting for a land drop. I should have strip mined their land here before they draw. Maybe we can look for some punish here. They're probably going to play this. Now, if they put the Orcish Bowmasters back on top, we can eliminate that draw step by strip mining them. Our opponent didn't fall for the trap. This Darcy will have to get there alone, but they only have one black source here, so he probably have time. We just need to stop drawing more lands here. Salty is a great pick up here because we can hard cast it and kill them over 2 turns. I decided not to. I played it safe. For a moment, I was really concerned about a Goif from an ancient tomb, but now we just have it. Our opponent has a Giganta companion. We have a very good hand. We have a threat, we have a force spike, And we have a bubble to go along with the channeler. We are also on the play. We're just going to fetch steam vents, play channeler, and bubble. And look at that. We are already on 3 out of 4 card types. But we do see a bolt here. So this Darcy is going to die. Now, if you pay attention here, they played a tap land and they had the bolt, which means they are hurting for lands here. So now we get to prioritize just taking them off lands here and holding up for spike. I'm guessing they kept that tap land and the strip mine. So now we're just going to get aggressive and start attacking them. They have no lands, and I think we need the blue source soon. So I decide to not keep that strip mine. We are better off trying to treasure cruise here while they are struggling with lands. And since they are stumbling, we can just treasure cruise freely here. We're probably going to get a boat eventually. This might be another stumping deck. It might be John. So on the draw, you don't want the 4 spikes. Instead, you want to bring in more removal spells. They're playing Ignoble Hierarch, which means they are playing a creature heavy build. Maybe they are playing Renin 6. And a good thing about that is Unholy Heat kills Renin 6 too. And we're going to add Cast into the Fire because they might be a ring deck. It's likely they are a ring deck if they're Stompy. The Delvers get cut here because we are on the draw and we're prioritizing on catching up. Okay, we have stable mana. We have Hydroponics Architect. This is really good. They lead with a Deathrite Shaman here, which is going to eat an Unholy Heat because it might put out a Goyf that we can't deal with. This is mostly fine. If that's their turn, I'm okay with that. Now we can just go double Hydroponics Architect here. We're going to get blown out by Fury, but I'm not going to play around that. Okay, do they have a Bowmasters? Okay, that could have gone worse. We're just looking for removal spells here. Okay, those are great. And I think it's time to strip mine them here. We are almost able to cast Treasure Cruise. But for now, I need to hold up Fire Magic for Ragavan. Do we want to unholy heat this architect? Probably not because they don't have any blue fetches anyway. Now that is one good card. That will be tough to beat. Hopefully they play out Ragavan here because we can fire magic for 3 if that's the case. But unfortunately they don't, so I'm just gonna let this happen. Now there's a Pyrogoyf. We can't currently deal with that, so we're just gonna let it happen. We can plan to unholy hit it. I'm still gonna need land number 3 here. So the plan is to kill the Pyrogoyf or hold up fire magic. Take the hit from Pyrogoyf. But we're probably just hitting the Pyrogoyf with unholy heat, then casting fire magic the next turn. Unfortunately, it's very hard to beat that. We need to draw into another unholy heat. So I guess I guess we can hard castle the next turn. Now to cut them off red. We're just probably going to fire magic here. So we're going to attack with architect because it's going to die anyway. And that's a Barogoyf. We can't let this resolve because there is a Kikijiki on the board. But to be honest, we can't really deal with another Barogoyf. We are drawing into Stern Scolding next. Okay, now we're going to be on the play. I definitely want all four spike now. We can trim down on Salty. We can probably trim down on conditional counter magic like Stern Scolding. Chain Lightning kinda sucks because it's sorcery speed. And I think I want the fourth for spike here. What else can we cut? We can probably cut Cast into the Fire. Or maybe yeah, I think for spike is better than Cast into the Fire. Not really sure if they have ring. Okay, this has turn 1 Hydroponics Architect and a 4 spike to back it up. So this is a good keep. But if we find the land on top, we might choose to hold up 4 spike instead. We didn't hit a land on top, so here's the Hydro Homie. And next turn we can ponder for a fetch. Or hopefully ponder for a fetch. No land, so we shuffle. We hit the land, which is really nice. We got our own duel here. And since we have four spikes, I think it's better just to hold on to it or to hold it up for this turn cycle. Okay, that really sucks. This is why counter magic is bad right now. But fortunately, we have subtlety here. We can just go ponder into another land if we want. Ren in 6. We're just gonna pitch for spike. Hopefully, this makes them think that I don't have a 4 spike now. Okay, we see a bunch of lands here, which is really great. Let's put the Prismatic Vista on top. And let's crack the bubble now so that we draw into the third land. Okay, they're not playing around for spike here. Maybe because they're confident or they want to recur the strip mine. Okay, that first spike was worth it. And now since they have double Deathrite Shaman on the board, I don't think it's worth it to try and strip mine them here. So we're just gonna draw a card, then deploy two Dragon's Rage Channelers, and now they're on a two-turn clock here. The thing about strip mine is you don't really just fire it off the first chance you get. You have to think if the opponent is struggling on colored sources or not. Because in this situation, they don't really care about getting strip mined because of the double death right shaman. Not sure if they can take me off delirium here. And now here we have double strip mine. We can cut them off green so that they can't gain life anymore. Alright. On the blind, this is keepable. We have threat, we have subtlety, we have brainstorm, we have the lands. Our opponent led on strip mine here. So I'm just going to lead with maybe Delver. Since we drew into the Scalding Tarn here, we have access to an extra blue source. If not, I would have led with Dragon's Rage Channeler because Mountain is pretty unimportant for us. This looks like a red Stompy deck. Broadside Bombardiers is answerable by subtlety temporarily, but we're going to have to brainstorm into a bolt or maybe even a force spike. Okay, our deliver flips, we can attack their life total. Brainstorm for removal spell. Okay, we do hit the removal spell. And I think I don't want the land, so I'm gonna play the fetch here. We have to hold up removal here. They take us off the color blue. Maybe the Magus of the Moon. We can just fetch for an island here and ignore the Magus because we need to reserve the lightning bolt for bombardiers here. I can't play out the Darcy yet. Fable is a problem because they might hard cast a Fury next turn or something. Okay, we're just going to keep playing blue cards until we hit another mountain. We are at a safe life total, so we can just keep taking hits. And there is the Fury I was worried about. So next turn we can just treasure cruise, maybe play Darcy and hold up lightning bolt. Okay, we don't need to hold up lightning bolt now. We're just gonna cruise our way out of this. We can work towards delirium fast. Okay, if I take the hit here, we can probably swing back for lethal next turn if we draw into a bolt, which we are likely to find because this is double surveil. Okay, there's the bolt. Now we have to set up delirium. Okay, so we successfully raised them. So against Red Stompy, they probably have Chalice. We want Cast into the Fire. They have Chalice, they have Mox, they have the One Ring. Spell Pierce is nice against them because they do play a lot of non-creature permanents like Faveball. That is very important to hit. And we are on the draw, so Force Spike is less effective here. Borrower also anti-Chalice tech. We might want to trim some of our one drops. I guess it's the same logic that we applied to Green Black Stompy, where on the draw we are cutting the ver for more interaction. This hand has a lot of removal spells and a lot of strip mines. We're going to keep. Okay, now I feel bad about keeping this hand because them having Mox means they don't care about strip mine that much. And they go Chalice on one, but we draw into sync into Stupor here, which can be used to remove the Chalice. Oh, they're also playing Roiling Vortex against us. I guess that makes sense because they might think we have flares and subtlety or even commandeer. Seems like our opponent is also struggling on lands here. I'm just gonna strip mine their strip. And I'm going to do it on their upkeep. they're going to respond by destroying our fetch. We're just going to fetch. Oops. I Okay, that was a mistake. I clicked through that. So that was devastating. Okay, so play out another strip mine. I don't want my blue and red source to be stripped here, so it's safer to expose the strip mine here. They take 5 from their own chrome mox. A bit of anti-synergy there. And it looks like they're working towards a 3 mana spell. Drawing the bubbles is really bad for us. We just need a land here. Or borrower. Or even cast into the fire. Okay, it's a Fable. Again, very powerful card from their side. There's the cast into the fire. Now this is just going to remove Chalice, I think. I don't think I can mana screw them at this point. And since we're going to exile that, we can use Sink into Stupor to cast Ponder. Try to hit another red source. Looks like we're getting taken off red here, which can be a problem. They're, they are at 9 now. We might just want to find the third bolt, or even just bolt to the face. Okay, they just gave us our red sources back. I can bolt their face and then kill Magus, or I could just point Unholy Heat at it, gain access to Treasure Cruise, then decide what to do with the bolts later. Okay, we found our third bolt. So now we just have to bolt their face on this turn cycle. Then when we untap, double bolt their face. Okay, looks like they have it. On the play, I just want my 4 spikes back because it's more versatile than what they have here. And Salty is worse on the play because we don't have as much cards available to us. And we probably want to fit in two or more delivers here as extra threats. Okay, we have Hydroponics Architect here and a stable mana base. That is good. Precious Bauble can be anything here. We're going to lead with it and check what's on top of our library to decide if we're going to play a basic or a Scalding Tarn here. Now that we drew into Brainstorm, we can now fix our hand. We don't want two lands in our hand here, so we can attempt to fix our hand with Brainstorm, but we draw into two more lands. We will keep the strip mine just in case they are hurting for land drops. Oh, nice. It turned our mountain into a dual. Okay, it's a Fable, which is a hard card to beat. We can just unholy heat the token here and then maybe strip mine them next turn. Okay, cast into the fire means that the land destruction plan is live here. Now we just have to observe here if they are hurting for lands or not. Since they have used a strip mine, they go down on one land too. So maybe cast into the fire can hit that Chrome Mox and choke them on mana more. Oh, another duel. Bombardiers is threatening, but we do have Unholy Heat to answer it. Okay. While the land destruction earlier is paying off, we drew into Force Spike. We have to do this now, or else Kiki Jiki will be enabled. But let's see what our other options are first. Because if I find the Lightning Bolt, I probably want to do that first. The Lightning Bolt did come too late. Okay, there's a Ragavan. Kiki Jiki only copies non-legendary, so we're going to Lightning Bolt the Ragavan instead. It's important not to make your land drops first because I plan to strip mine them off the red source here. So we're going to try to draw into strip mine first. Okay, that's a double bolt. The strip mine is one card too late. So now we can plan on burning them off here. We can play Borrower at end step, then double bolt them while we attack for 4. Okay, we can bounce the Fury here. I bounced the Fury here because Borrower plus 2 bolts is only 10 damage. So it's not exactly lethal yet. Now they're at 10. We have lethal. I could use Force Spike to deal 2 damage to them here. But instead I let this happen. Our Architect is going to die anyway. And they're going to copy Fury. Deals them 2. And now we have Borrower and double Lightning Bolt as lethal. This is only 6 damage, so it's not really a problem. We're just gonna flash in Borrower at end step, then bolt their face. Okay, this hand looks pretty good. Our opponent doesn't have any companions. Okay, it's a Chrome Mox. Pitching a red source. It's another red Stompy deck. That looks like a very awkward hand. They just destroyed their own hand for 2 mana and no actual plays. So I wonder what they kept here. There's a lightning bolt. And there's the Fable. Maybe that's the reason they kept this hand. I think I'm going to play Bolt here, no matter what. So Mountain is just better. We need to reserve the Scalding Tarn for our brainstorm later on. Okay, that's Bombardiers. That eats a bolt because it can kill Delver with the Chrome Mox or even a treasure token. Our Delver flips. We can now attempt to raise them. There's another Delver. Now we don't have to fix our hand yet. We can just set up the other Delver here. Now next turn we are attacking for 6 in the air. Another Fable is kind of problem, but let's see if we can try attempt to raise them. The bolts will go to Kiki Jiki here because they can kill us on in 2 turns. If they have access to Kiki Jiki, this will reduce their clock significantly while we attempt to raise them. We are drawing into Treasure Cruise. Since Chalice is coming down, we have to cast our 1 mana spell and probably pitch back most of our 1 drops. In hindsight, I should have pitched the Ponder instead and cast Brainstorm here. Now that is really aggressive. Okay, we have Sink into Stupor to get out of this Chalice lock, but we are we do have them dead next turn. We can just feed cards into Chalice here so that the cruise is active next turn. So an out they have here is a Fury. If they have Fury, we lose. Okay, they don't have Fury. So on the draw, we want to take out 4 spikes again. We can think about cutting some Delvers. for more interactive spells. We're just gonna take a look at our numbers here. We have 8 removal, 3 spell pierce, and we're gonna cut all delvers. Because spell pierce is really great against their deck. And delver is another 1 drop. We can consider cutting 1 drops here because of chalice. Okay, this hand looks too vulnerable to turn 1 chalice. So let's mulligan. Okay, this is better. We have a variety of spells we can cast. We're going to return Treasure Cruise because we're nowhere near casting it. We have Bolt for that, so no need to salty it. Now we cast Bubble, check what's on top of our library. We're looking for lands. We have Brainstorm in hand, so Ponder can go away. Fetching a Steam Vents here just to get the Bolt ready. We draw into Ponder anyway. There's also proper timing in bolting. Like this Ragavan, you want to bolt it when it attacks because if you bolt it too early, they can dash another Ragavan before combat step. Okay? They probably didn't keep Blood Moon in. Okay, it's just a fable. Now we're going to try to find removal. Okay, I guess threats are also fine. We don't want to draw into that land. I think we have enough lands. This salty is probably going to get pitched this turn cycle. Okay, that's another fable. They really are good at drawing their fables. Now, if we flip this Darcy, they go to 14. And if we deploy another Darcy, we have them essentially at a 3 turn clock. Okay, we can set up Delirium here. We are keeping Mishra's Bauble, getting rid of the land and possibly Hydro. At this point, I'm just looking for Bolt. We need to buy another turn, so this gets salty. I don't want them to killing any of the Darcys. Now they can't attack into it. Okay, there's another salty. We're just going to attack into them, have them at 8. I can only hit the Kiki Jiki right now, but that might make them Pyroglyph one of the Darcys. So I'm going to set it up that they can greed out and try to kill me this turn. Then we can hit the Pyroglyph in response to Kiki Jiki. Okay, let's try to bluff. Nice. I was hoping they would point that at my face. And now we have a shot at stealing this when we find a boat, which we likely are because we were trying to find it earlier. Okay, small micro decisions like that really matter for this deck. Okay, we have a hand here with Hydro, Strip Mine, and Force Spike. We're on the play. This is a great hand. Our opponent doesn't have companions, but it doesn't really matter because Force Spike hits all. Catacombs might mean it is Golgari. Oh no. Okay, that is going to be a problem. Turn 1 Bargoyf is hard to beat. I think we can keep playing here. Let's try to brainstorm for double bolt. We are going to send back 2 lands here. Maybe we can use another Hydroponics Architect as a chump blocker. We do have to keep that Bargoyf small, but I guess it won't get to a 6/7 unless they hit a ring or whatever. Rumble gets first spike. Okay, they find grief. That's actually pretty bad for us. Okay, the grief is pretty bad for us here. This is why this deck is really strong. They have access to Ragavan-like threats, and they can protect it with grief. And now if you notice, they didn't hit their land drop that turn. So trying to mana screw them here is a real possibility. So maybe we can just double strip mine them here. Let's put out a Hydro as a chump blocker. Okay, now we have to focus on getting rid of this Bargoyf. We can do that by bouncing it with Borrower. We can also find double bolt. Let's see if we hit. We're also going to need to find another land because we might be taken off red at any time here. We have 2 islands that were modified by Hydro. Okay, so we get the flooded strand, and then we can get the mountain that was turned into an island. We are flooding a bit here, We're going to draw into the Dragon's Rage Channeler for now because Brainstorm is the most important card in that pile, and we don't want that to get Thoughtseize or Grief. Okay, they just casually hit what they need here. Is a troll to get them out of the mana screw. They kept on top there. So I wonder what that was. And now they're going to cast Grief. Okay, so as expected, we got Grief, and now we drew into Brainstorm, which can turn 3 or 4 cards into live ones. Unfortunately, we only get 2 Delvers. We also have 1 card draw from the Hydroponics Architect. So they topped something with Underground Mortuary last turn. I think they suspect that they might have lands to cast something next turn, so it's better off just getting rid of that land. Now we get to draw maybe 2 cards from this architect. We need to put a stop on our second main so that we hold priority just in case this hits a fetch. Okay, looks like we're jump blocking more. Okay, let's put a stop on our second main. Hold priority here, then fetch the other land so that we don't draw into it. There's a treasure cruise. I don't think I'm making their goifs any smaller because they have all the card types anyway. So we don't have to be mindful of what we eat here. And we also have Delver as a chump blocker again. Alright, and there's the Sink into Stupor. Next turn we can bounce that Barrogoyf. These are all pretty good. We're just gonna play Bobble. They are drawing into Dark Ritual next turn. That means they might cheat out multiple threats next turn. We're just gonna keep drawing cards. Maybe use this Architect as a chump blocker. Okay, there's a Strip Mine. Now we can take them off black again so that they're unable to cast anything. We now also have double bolt to deal with the Barragoyf. Since I know they can't replay this next turn, we're just gonna sink into stupor this, and we're going to discard a land. Now this is where we can turn the corner. We can cast our threats. I'm going to try to flip Delver next turn. We can do that by using the bubble trick. So here's how the bubble trick works. You target yourself with bubble. If we see a sorcery or instant, we put the Delver trigger first. If we don't, then we can stack it the other way. Hey, Delver flips. Force Spike might be live, especially if they try to cast Wandering. We have a bunch of cards in the graveyard, so any treasure cruise we find is live. We just keep chaining them. It's looking like this might be a comeback. We just need to find more threats. I'm thinking about keeping this force pipe, but I don't think so. Okay, subtlety is great, but we can't really cast subtlety next turn, and I don't really want to pitch it against grief. Okay, there's a wandering, but they're still choked on black sources, so maybe that isn't a problem. We're just going to brainstorm for more threats. And I don't have any fetchables left, so we put the island back. We can attack with the hydroponics architect to make them draw a card. And now we're just going to deploy all our 3 powered creatures. I'm thinking about keeping up subtlety. Okay, we are going to draw borrower next. So with that information, we can choose to overcommit to the board here. We can bounce something they play next turn. They're still at 26, but they are on a two-turn clock here. We have 15 damage on the board. If that's their only play, we can just let that resolve. There's another Bargoyf. Now we can just attack all. We're going to prevent their life gain. Now, the only threatening thing here is a Shelly at this point, or maybe multiple Bowmasters. But we have Salty and Pitch Salty to protect us from that. They're going to try and buy another turn, but we can double bolt them now so that they can't draw a card. We could also do this on their upkeep next turn, but I think I'm just going to fire this off now. Oh, look at that. Force Spike is still live. Nice. Okay, that's a Death Right Shaman. I don't think I care about that. I might care about that if they're wondering here. So maybe I should have used Salty. Okay, that was an intense match. Okay, our sideboard plan for this on draw, take out the Force Spikes, bring in Cast into the Fire and Unholy Heat. We can trim down on threats here because we are on the draw. I think getting Delirium is important, so maybe Vicious Bubble isn't a good cut. So we basically don't have counter spells post board, but we do have ways to deal with a lot of their creatures, and Cast into the Fire deals with One Ring. Okay, we see Hydroponics Architect in hand. We keep. They lead with a turn one hard cast Grief, which is really beatable. That is a play that we can live with. If they went turn one ring into Grief, we might be in trouble. If we have a second cast into the fire to deal with that, where is Zone Guard? Thankfully, they don't have Strip Mine. Now we're just going to try and transform our hand into multiple removal spells. There's a Bolt. There's also a sink into stupor, but that might be too slow. Let's ship that back, and then maybe let's try to draw another card. Or maybe we just want to pull that right shaman or grief. And it's probably just going to be that right shaman here because it can take us off delirium. And there's a rumble into Goif. Yeah, I do think we have lost this one. There are too many threats to deal with. Our brainstorm didn't find any of our removal spells, or just one removal spell. I don't think there are any draws to get us out of this situation. Let's just see what we can draw. Okay, those aren't it. Now on the play, we can put the four spikes back. We can remove the conditional counter magic. And now we need to try and fit in Delver's back again. He can cut he can cut some subtleties away here. Then we want at least one more Delver. So I guess this is fine. Need at least 10 one drops here. Okay, let's play first. We have Hydro for Spike and Cast into the Fire. We are good. Okay, this is a scary play. Okay, that's a very scary play. Do they have Reanimate? It's really hard to beat turn 1 Troll. Okay, they have the Reanimate. They also have another Dark Ritual and a Barglyph. Okay, this looks impossible to beat. Okay, that's the first step. We draw into the Borrower. We can bounce the Troll now. Take a hit from Barglyph. We draw into the Unholy Heat. And now we just bounce the Troll here. They found a Grief. They are really having some naughty draws here. That's a very zone guard. I don't think they have strip mine yet, but our force spike will soon be dead here. Let's just draw a card for now. We find Sink into Stupor. And I think Force Spike is going to be dead from this point onwards. So let's see what we draw. Maybe we're going to use Hydro as a jump blocker here. But let's ponder first. Okay, there's another Unholy Heat which we want. We are missing a creature to turn on Delirium, so this fits. Hopefully they don't draw Strip Mine. Okay, they drew into Strip Mine. They can take us off red if they want. I still Explorer will get us into a Strip Mine lock. These are some really naughty draws. Let's see if they take us off red. Okay, they take out the Strip Mine anyway. Maybe they're afraid that I might take them off green here because I still Explorer costs double green. So now we have two Unholy Heats live. We can take care of their board. And I'm guessing that they're hoping that they can cast Ice still off very zone guard. So hopefully we have that covered. Okay, that's a hard cast grief. We're just going to take care of their creatures now. We can also use the non-destruction mode on cast into the fire if they don't take that. Okay, we, we find another strip mine off our fetches. We can completely take them off green here. And we have to make sure when we cruise, we don't take ourselves off delirium. Okay, should have fetched the strip mine first. Let's try to ponder for an answer here. I think I want both here because if they find another green source, we can force spike the I still explore. Nice. Now we have access to the strip mine. We can bolt the grief. Oh, nice. We have double strip mine. I'm just gonna bolt the grief here, then take them off green. Now our force spike is back to being live. And if you notice, these games are really carried by Hydroponics Architect. We don't really see it, but each turn cycle it draws us a card. It even makes strip mine fetchable. Okay, we have an answer for Troll in Unholy Heat. If they reanimate that, you can also just bolt them. Subtlety is great. We have one last draw step with Hydroponics Architect. Hardcast Grief gets Force Spike. You can also use Salty. I think to be on the safer side, we just Force Spike here. Because Bowmasters is a problem here, or even a single one. And instead, I can play out Borrower. Now we have Force Spike available and we have Pitch Salty available. That's another grief. We can just Force Spike and the Bolt wins us the game. This was a really epic match.